Okay, we're going to talk about InmuneBio today. InmuneBio is a clinical stage biotech company. That's a nice way of saying they earn no revenue and likely won't earn any revenue for a little bit of time. They're doing the research. So I'm going to jump right in to a company presentation. So this is their presentation. This company is interesting. It's a biotech company, and it is such that this is either a bust or very valuable. And we're past the beginning with this company. We're nearing the midpoint. And pretty soon, within 18 months, I would say, maybe 24 months, we're going to know whether this company is worth a ton of money or worth very little. It depends on whether their drug is a better way of saying it, works or doesn't work. So anyway, let's get into it. So here is the introduction of InmuneBio. It's a clinical stage biopharmaceutical company developing a new class of therapeutics that target dysfunction of the innate immune system. There's been a lot of research that validates their belief. Their belief is that you fix the innate immune system and you solve a lot of problems with a lot of disease. Now they focus on two platforms right now. TNF, I'm going to talk about this, and NK cell priming. And here are some catalysts coming up. Phase 2 trial, AD is Alzheimer's disease, initiation second half of 2021, so it's going to start pretty soon. Their phase 1 trial is winding down, and this is what has me interested in the company. Their drug's potential effect on Alzheimer's disease. And then they have these other areas where their drug is also targeting. Okay, so that's it for the introduction slide. I'm going to jump around here a little bit. I'm going to slide 23. Okay, so this is what is interesting. TNF and neuroinflammation are valid targets in AD. Now look at this. This was research done by this gentleman here, Chow and others, in 2016. They looked at a bunch of rheumatoid arthritis patients, people suffering with rheumatoid arthritis. What is rheumatoid arthritis? It's an autoimmune disease, and it leads to inflammation of the joints. And it's horrible. You know, you may have seen people with rheumatoid arthritis, they're crippled. They can't straighten out their joints, and it looks painful and everything. Anyway, InmuneBio's belief is that Alzheimer's disease is neuroinflammation, inflammation in the brain, and it just eats away at the capacity of the brain. So what some researchers did is they said, look, if Alzheimer's disease is a neuroinflammation, let's look at other patients that have inflammation problems. They looked at rheumatoid arthritis sufferers, and they noticed they had an 800% greater risk of getting Alzheimer's disease than the general population. However, this is where InmuneBio's drug comes in. It is a TNF inhibitor. Now InmuneBio's drug is a precision TNF inhibitor, but here's what this study found. It found that those suffering from rheumatoid arthritis who were taking anti-TNF drugs, TNF inhibitor drugs, which are already on the market, had a 60% less chance than the general population of getting Alzheimer's. So, the obvious question here is, what does inflammation do in the brain? Does it lead to Alzheimer's? Is it a culprit in Alzheimer's? And two, if the answer to that is yes, it is a culprit, it leads to Alzheimer's disease, it's a culprit of Alzheimer's disease, and we're right to target this. The second question is, do TNF suppressants somewhat solve the problem or make the problem better? Now this suggests yes. Now this was not a clinical study. This is just looking at data. So that's the exciting part. So this is what InmuneBio is researching: the role of inflammation in Alzheimer's disease patients. Does neuroinflammation lead to, cause, or make worse Alzheimer's disease? Now let me skip ahead one. Now this is where InmuneBio differentiates themselves from others. As I mentioned, there are already TNF inhibitor drugs on the market, but they target both transmembrane TNF and soluble TNF. InmuneBio believes that transmembrane TNF is the good TNF. You need this. You need this in your system. Without TNF, you have a weakened immune system. Now, soluble TNF is the part of the TNF that leads to chronic inflammation. That's what STNF does. If you have chronic inflammation, it is because of STNF, not both TNFs. So, TNF is the good TNF, STNF is the bad TNF. Immune Biology's drug that they're testing, going into phase 2 trials, neutralizes the soluble TNF and lets the transmembrane TNF do what it is meant to do. And what it is meant to do is provide for a healthy immune system. So, I mentioned this already. XPro 1595 is a precision TNF inhibitor. This is what I was saying. XPro 1595 neutralizes soluble TNF while allowing transmembrane TNF to provide the neuroprotective benefits without the safety risks of current anti-TNF therapies. I'm going to skip ahead. How XPro 1595 neutralizes soluble TNF, I won't talk about that. I am going to skip ahead to 28. From an investment standpoint of view, this is what has investors excited about InmuneBio and its prospects going forward. The global TNF inhibitor drug market is estimated to reach $42 billion by 2026. Okay, so the question becomes, should the precision TNF work, what market share of the $42 billion will a precision TNF inhibitor capture? Now that is it's an unknown question at this point. But, with a company like this, you likely don't invest that much because there is a probability that whatever you invest will be close to zero if these trials don't work. However, if these trials work, the moon is the limit. And just looking at Alzheimer's disease, it's such an ugly disease. There's no therapeutics for it right now. You just dwindle, and there's no getting around that. It's very costly to society. If a drug is invented that slows, potentially stops, or hallelujah, reverses the effects of Alzheimer's disease, then that drug is going to be extremely, extremely valuable. Okay, so I want to show the results of the P1, the phase 1 trial on Alzheimer's disease. So that's okay. So this is it. This is the summary of the phase 1 trial using their drug, their precision TNF inhibitor on Alzheimer's patients. Now it's a phase 1 study, so you can't read too much into this. And the sample size was extremely small. So all they're trying to do is to see if there is enough positive results from their study to move it to the phase 2 trial. And it looks like they did. It looks like they have enough positives to move to a phase 2 trial. So XPro 1595 reduces neuroinflammation across multiple measures and assays. So I'll talk about this for a second. It is not easy to measure neuroinflammation. So they have a whole bunch of tests. They kind of look at all the results from all the tests and come to one conclusion based on that. There's no simple test that says, yes, neuroinflammation has increased, or no, neuroinflammation has decreased. Pathway analysis show a significant effect of XPro 1595 in Alzheimer's disease relevant pathways and corroborated by novel new MRI metrics. XPro 1595 significantly reduced markers of neuroinflammation, neural injury, and improved synaptic proteins. This is the big one, reduced markers of neuroinflammation. So what they're saying here is that we have a whole bunch of things we're looking for to see if this drug works. And they all have something to do with neuroinflammation. As I said before, this is kind of a follow-on from it's not easy to measure neuroinflammation or even changes in neuroinflammation. So they have a whole bunch of biomarkers. You know, for instance, how much of compound ABC is in the blood. If there's less compound, that is somewhat of an indication that there's less neuroinflammation. If there's more of compound ABC in the blood, that is somewhat of an indication that there is more inflammation in the brain. So they have a whole bunch of these biomarkers that they measure. So changes in biomarkers all appear within 3 months and were sustained over the duration of the trial. The biomarkers were positive. Now, the safety of the drug was well tolerated, except, you know, there was some injection site reactions. You always get that. These data support advancing to phase 2. So in the second half of 2021, they're going to start a phase 2 trial. I assume it's going to be substantially more people involved in the trial than the phase 1. So this is InmuneBio, and it's very interesting. Now I want to show you this. This is kind of funny. So here's their drug candidate pipeline. They've got Quelor, which has got, it helps at COVID-19 cytokine storm. They've got XPro 1595, 2 uses for it: treatment-resistant depression and Alzheimer's disease. This is the one I'm excited about. They've got InmuneBio 3 for MUC4 positive cancer and LiveNate for NASH. And they have INKmune. Now the funny thing is, each one of these things, so they have 1, we're going to call that 2, 3, 4, 5 therapies for different problems. These are all the same drug. It's the exact same compound in each and every case. And they're just testing it on different diseases. And so far, they're moving basically all of these, except for this guy. This guy's going into phase 1 soon. They're moving all these guys into phase 2. So that's it. Again, this is a company that it's a biotech company, so it's extremely risky. They have no revenue. They probably won't have revenue for, I would say, 24 months. That's not unique. A lot of biotech companies are like this. They're in the clinical stage. Should their Alzheimer's drug work, this is going to explode. The value of the company will explode. Look at the risk profile. Probability of zero return or probability of losing all your money versus the upside is enormous. So that's what you have here. So you know, based on that risk profile, you simply can't invest too much money in this company. Okay, I want to talk about financials. Financials are always important, but when it comes to InmuneBio or any clinical stage biotech company, the only thing that matters is, do they have enough cash to last a while? And they did a $25 million capital raise in Q3 2020. That should last them about 2 years. And if the drug or the therapies aren't successful by then, they probably won't need any other cash because they'll have to move on to something else. So it's either hit or miss with biotech companies. With this one, looks like the evidence is kind of in. Looks like they have a good chance at hitting, and they definitely have enough cash to proceed through the trials. And so that's all that matters with the financials right now. Now the stock is having a great day today. It's up 4.5%. Now I will say this is a company you don't need to chase. So I wouldn't jump in here. You know, there's not too many catalysts between now and the end of phase 2 results. So that's probably a year away. So the stock will likely be a little bit choppy between now and then. So I would buy it only on severe down days, which are likely to come. Then again, on the other hand, this might be the lowest price it sees for 20 years, but I wouldn't bank on it. So I definitely wouldn't chase InmuneBio right now. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope that helps. And this, I will say this, I've got this written up here. This will be on the Biofa website, byofa.com. Check it out under, what's it under? Small caps, I do believe. Anyway, I'll put a link in the video. Okay, thank you.